is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Welcome to the gateway to the West, St. Louis, the home of the Arch, as Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. Tonight, it's the Reds against the St. Louis Cardinals, the first of three, on a night where we honor the great number 42, the great Jackie Robinson. Hi, hello, and welcome to St. Louis, everyone. Along with the captain left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day, I'm George Grant. This year is always very special. Any year is special when you honor number 42. And Chris, walking through the clubhouses today, they know the importance of tonight.
You know, I think the guys really get it. I mean, this tradition has been, baseball has embraced it for several years now. And I think that the more you do it, the more people appreciate it. And it certainly is a tribute to Jackie Robinson, but really all minorities everywhere that are involved in baseball. And I think it's a great thing that MLB does.
We'll talk more about that as the night progresses, and we'll honor the great number 42. And we'll honor the game of baseball, but they're honoring a guy named Jeremy Hazelbaker here in St. Louis. Most folks didn't even know who the heck he was in St. Louis, and now he's a hometown hero.
Well, they've already nicknamed him Hurricane, so it may stick on him if he sticks around. He didn't think he was going to make the ball club, as we said in the pregame show, George, but he had a great spring right down to the last moment it was when he was told that he was on the team. He came off the bench and he hit some great home runs for the Cardinals, and now he's in the lineup. So a left-handed hitter who now is a rookie is 28 years old. He had a couple of different stops. Interestingly enough, though, he grew up as a Cardinal fan, and here he finds himself in his hometown uniform.
Hey, speaking of hometown, Tim Melville, who will go for the Reds tonight, he grew up just up the road a piece from here, was a high school star here. He's probably going to have 40 or 50 fans that are going to be here tonight.
Well, at least, you know, we talked about the emotions that he had when he had his first start in the major leagues in Cincinnati. He had a lot of family and friends there. That was big and very emotional. Well, you got to figure now, starting at this ballpark where he may have played as a high school player, even more emotional. So you talk about a draining 2 starts for Tim Melville. Here's the advice I have for Tim. Take a deep breath after every pitch and keep the ball down.
A guy who's taking big, deep breaths against the Reds is Carlos Martinez. He'll get the ball for St. Louis. Carlos didn't start against the Reds till last year, but every time he's pitched against the Reds, Chris, he's been tough.
You know, he's got tremendous numbers. He had great opportunity to be a big-time pitcher. They put him in the bullpen a couple of years ago. They gave him 29 starts last year. He averages over 96 miles an hour on his fastball. He's got a very good curve or slider and a nice changeup. So he's a guy that when he's on his game, he is a real challenge for anybody.
Speaking about being on his game, that's where Jay Bruce is. Boy, has he been on his game. Coming up next, we'll go behind the scenes. Chris will take a look at what's new with number 32 in 2016. City with the Arch in St. Louis as the Reds and Cardinals get ready for Game 1 of this 3-game set on Jackie Robinson night in St. Louis. We talked a lot about it during spring training. Christopher, you were out in Arizona, and I think there was no doubt that one of the big question marks that the Reds had coming in is what Jay Bruce would show up. Would it be the Jay Bruce of a couple of years ago or the one who struggled last year? He made some adjustments this year. Boy, it's working.
Well, you're right. And, you know, the good thing about Jay Bruce, he's taken all the trade talk and gotten out of his head, and he's worried about hitting right now. You know, you see where he's hit his hits by direction this year. Only 3 hits so far to right field. That's a good sign, and it's also indicative of what Jay Bruce has done really between this year and last year. The way you read this graphic is very simple. Go to the bottom line under 2015, and then go to the bottom line under 2016. All those hits to right field last year are being spread out now to center field and to left field, and really mainly because he's just keeping his shoulder in. And that has really made a huge difference for Jay Bruce. Now, if you want to break down his batting a little bit more than that, we can do that. On the left, you're going to see 2015, the elbow really flying up there, but the angle of the bat is the biggest thing. When you get the bat head pointed towards a pitcher like he does, as much as he does, it's going to loop your swing. You're going to carve your swing in a way a lot of batting coaches like to say. On the right side is 2016, a much more direct path to the ball, very efficient, and he's able to hit the ball the other way with that swing and that approach, and something very simple like that can make a huge difference.
Boy, it sure is making a difference so far. Jay Bruce won't be wearing number 32 tonight. He'll be wearing number 42 tonight. It's Jackie Robinson night. When we return, we'll honor the great one.
Robinson Day as we welcome you back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Jackie Robinson Day 2016. I'm Jim Day. Everyone on the field will wear number 42 on this night, honoring the guy that broke the color barrier in baseball. Walk around the clubhouse, you know that the players know the greatness of Jackie Robinson, what he went through and how he paved the way.
It gives me chills even thinking about it. You know, what Jackie's done for the game and, you know, what for African Americans in general.
Without him, you know, who knows if I'll be able to play right now. So for him to go through what he went through, it really means a lot because I don't know if I could have did it.
You know, a lot of us can sit back and say, oh, if I was in that position, I would have done this or that. But truth be told, he took a stand, and you know, it's a lot of things that a lot of us probably wouldn't have had the courage to do, because it was a rough time.
He was a trailblazer, and for him to do what he did in the time period that he did it, you know, battling all that adversity, not just on the field, but away from the field, you know, for him to, you know, to keep his mouth shut and just to play the game and to show people the right way to play it, you know, is very special.
Jackie Robinson Day is always a special day. You know, it's paying homage.
I mean, I feel like everybody should just really understand that day, you know? I mean, he changed the world, just not in just baseball, but the world in general. And for me to just put my jersey on, put that 42 on my back, you know, I thank him and his family, his legacy, and everything he's done for this world and also for me.
It's amazing that we get a chance to constantly remember and continue to educate people about what he did, not only for the game of baseball, but for the civil rights movement throughout not only the United States, but the world. He opened up so many doors and paved so many paths for people to do things that we get a chance to experience today. This is amazing. This is all thankful to Jackie Robinson.
Brandon Phillips said it very well in that piece. He not only changed baseball, but he changed society forever, and certainly for the better. Jackie Robinson Day, Reds and Cardinals wearing the 42.
Beautiful night for baseball here in St. Louis as the Reds and Cardinals get ready to go. Let's check Brian Price's starting lineup for the Reds as we're ready to get rolling here at Busch Stadium number 3. Leading it off, wearing number 42 as everybody will wear tonight, Zach Cozart back in the lineup after a couple of days off, tweaking his quad over the surgically repaired right knee. Eugenio Suarez bats second, Joey Votto third, Brandon Phillips in the cleanup spot, followed by Jay Bruce, Shebler, Barnhart, Melville, and Billy Hamilton bats in the number 9 position. Hamilton, the switch hitter, of course, has 10 out of 11 stolen bases against the great Yadi Molina, the Gold Glover behind the plate. Good to see Cozart back in the lineup, Chris. Not necessarily good to see this guy on the mound, because every time Carlos Martinez faces the Reds, he's been tough.
Well, I mean, he's tough on everybody, George. He's an ace in the waiting. He's only 24 years old. He throws nearly 100 miles an hour, and in his first full season as a starter last year, impressed everybody when they got to see him pitch.
First pitch swinging, popped into short center field. Back is Wong. called off by Grichuk, and Randall Grichuk calls it in for out number 1. Let's check your forward defensive alignment for the Redbirds. The Redbirds have struggled defensively in the early going. They are last in the league with 12 errors. The Reds have committed 8 so far this year. Hazelbaker, Grichuk, Piscotty, that's the strength of their defense. Carpenter at third. Diaz, the third shortstop, with the injuries to 2 other shortstops. Wong's at second. Holiday moves over to first. And Molina, of course, the Gold Glover behind the plate. That's your forward defensive alignment. Aledmys Diaz is your shortstop. The Cuban defector is the third choice at short. Peralta went down. Then, of course, they signed Tejada from the Mets. He went down, although he may be back next week. But Chris, the young shortstop has hit and played well for the Cardinals so far.
Yeah, you ever heard of Wally Pipp?
Yeah.
I mean, they're beginning to really like this young man, Diaz. They signed him to a big league contract after they saw him at a showcase in Mexico. And they invested a lot of money in Diaz, and they feel like at 25 years old, this guy can now maybe contribute at the major league level. So we'll see how this plays out for the Cardinals. They really do need an infusion of youth, and he's one guy that can help them get that way.
There's Peralta, and there's a swing and a miss by Eugenio Suarez. That's strikeout number 1 for Carlos Martinez, and out number 2, and that'll bring up Joey Votto.
You may have been wondering why Zach Kozar was up there hacking at the first pitch. Well, against Martinez, that's your best chance of getting a fastball, because his secondary stuff is so good. I'm talking about his slider and his changeup, and when he gets ahead of you, he doesn't use that fastball in the strike zone very much.
Joey grounds to second. Wong has it. Votto now 0 for 8 against Martinez in their matchups. 1, 2, 3 for Carlos. Tim Melville takes the mound after this.
It's the same game. You know, nothing's changed. It's the same game. You know, same 60 feet. Everything's the same. And just to go out there and have fun and enjoy myself. This is a unique opportunity. Very grateful to be here. Very excited for our team and everything too.
Our Elk and Elk storylines on Tim Melville, brought to you by Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. And Chris, if everybody at home has never met Tim Melville, that one little soundbite there will tell you all you need to know. What a special young man.
He really is, George. And this start here at Busch Stadium tonight is so special for him on so many different levels. But of course, you always want to come back to your hometown and pitch in the major leagues. If you were a young kid growing up, he's getting a chance to do that tonight.
Here's Matt Carpenter, who steps in at 265, a homer and 9 knocked in. He started off very slowly, but turned it on in the 3 outstanding games against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cardinals started off slowly, 3-3 on the road, but they won 2 of 3 against Milwaukee at home. Carpenter, Hazelbaker, and Holiday 1, 2, 3. Bona fide leadoff hitter, outstanding defensive player. Last year he spent 80 starts in the leadoff spot, another 60 in the number 2 spot, as the Cardinals, of course, on the way to winning 100, more wins than anyone else in the National League, for that matter, in baseball. Still had a ton of injuries. And this lineup bounced around. Well, a guy who averaged over 4 walks in his minor league career per 9 innings starts this one off with a walk to Carpenter. Here's the rest of the lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Mike Matheny, their manager. Jeremy Hazelbaker bats in the number 2 spot, leading the league at 481. Matt Holliday moved over to first at 188. Piscotty, Grichuk, Molina, Wong, Diaz, and Martinez, the pitcher, bats in the 9th spot. That's your St. Louis Cardinals batting order. And here's Hazelbaker, the left-hander, at 481, leads the league. 3 homers and 7 knocked in. 7 years in the minor leagues. There's another wide one, and Tucker Barnhart will go out and try to settle this young man down. And Chris, you know, he grew up just outside of St. Louis, the suburb of Wentzville. Big time high school player in the newspapers, and everybody wanted the Cardinals to draft him. 7 years in the minors. Finally the Reds pick him up, but coming here has got to be an emotional night for him.
Well, there's no doubt, George. He's got a choice right here. He better slow his heart down or speed his arm up.
That's well put.
I mean, sometimes you just want to do so well, you throw the ball before your body's in a position to throw the ball where you want to. So if you're consistently high and away to left-handed hitters, you got to make sure you speed something up like your arm, or slow your body down. And taking a big deep breath may be a long way to doing that. Now already Tucker Barnhart has been out there to try to settle him down, but it's all really on Tim Melville right now. Think little picture, not big picture, Tim. Little picture, little target, and hit it.
From the stretch is Melville. That breaking ball misses down low. Ron Culp is your home plate umpire. Gabe Morales is at first. Paul Nauert is your second base umpire. And Jerry Meals is down at third, your umpiring crew for Game 1 tonight in St. Louis. Look at those numbers. Unbelievable for this minor league veteran. And that's back-to-back walks. And a familiar refrain, Chris. You spent 3 days in Chicago, and the Reds walked half of the Windy City. There's your forward defensive alignment for Cincinnati. The Reds have Scott Schebler in left, Billy Hamilton in center, Jay Bruce is over in right. Suarez back at third, Cozart back at short after a couple of days off. Phillips and Votto together on the right side of the infield for the 981st time, most all time in Reds history. And Barnhart, who's been great behind the plate, catching Melville. That's your forward defensive alignment. From the stretch again is Melville. Reds double play depth middle of the infield for Matt Holliday. Holliday off to a slow start at 188, no homers and 3 knocked in. Normally an outfielder. The way the Cardinals are working things now, he'll play some at first. Matt Adams will play at first. Brandon Moss will play at first. And as he says, he's still adjusting to first base. You wonder if that's affecting his offense. And there is a strike.
Well, you know, George, he's been such a good player for so long. He turned 36 years old in January. He's in his 13th season, 7-time All-Star. At some point, your production starts to fall off. And the Cardinals are worried that this might be the year where it really shows.
Hit hard to center field. Back is Hamilton at the wall, looking up. He can't get it. It's gone. 2 walks and a big-time bomb from Matt Holliday, and the Cardinals have an early 3-0 lead.
I take that back about Matt Holliday's production going down.
In batting practice today, he said for the first time in the last 2 days, he's starting to feel comfortable. Boy, was he comfortable with that swing. After falling behind, Melville gives up this big blast. Home run number 1. Runs batted in number 4, 5, and 6. Still nobody out. And here's Stephen Piscotty. Straightaway center over the 400-foot line. About 404, 405 feet worth of homer. Piscotty in at 281, a homer and 4 knocked in. Scotty back and forth from the minor leagues, Memphis, AAA, the last couple of years. In a year where the Cardinals had a ton of injuries last year, he plugged a lot of holes in the outfield.
Well, they feel like he, going forward, is going to be a guy that'll plug the hole full time. Just 25 years old. They brought him up last year in July, and from that time on, he led the Cardinals in average and runs batted in.
Swing and a miss and a strikeout for Melville. That's out number 1.
That's the kind of pitches that you expect to see out of Melville really from the beginning of the ball game. A little bit of pressure off right now. Now you've given up a 3 spot in the first inning. Now you got to settle down and just pitch a ball game.
Here's the center fielder, Randall Grichuk. 240, a homer, 5 knocked in. Just as Piscotty, you would classify as a star of the future, put this guy on that same list. When he's healthy, he's an impact player. Had a series of injuries the last couple of years. Yes, missed him on the inside corner.
Well, he's got great bat speed. There's no question about that. He generates a lot of power, Grichuk does, but he's a guy that is so ultra aggressive up there. They're trying to back him off a little bit, just to be a little more patient at the plate.
Hit hard off the foot of Suarez into left field. Rounding first, going to second will be Grichuk. A rocket shot off the left leg of Eugenio Suarez, and Grichuk sitting at second. I don't even think it hit his leg. Might have hit the bottom of his foot, but that's a catchable ball. It was blistered. Might have been knuckling a little bit as it went right between the wickets, and Grichuk sitting at second. Another runner in scoring position, and here's Molina. Yachty at 324, no homers and 5 knocked in. That'll be scored as an error on the third baseman, so sitting at second is Grichuk in scoring position. Every starter, Chris, wants to get into a groove from the windup, and probably even more so when you're making your hometown debut. He just doesn't seem to be in sync yet.
Well, George, you know, you probably could have asked him what day it was before the first pitch of the game. He couldn't have told you. I mean, that's just how nervous you are when you're pitching in your hometown. You come in as a visiting team. You know, he's been peppered with phone calls and texts and emails all week long, actually for weeks now, ever since he was told he was on the major leagues and it looked like he was going to make this start in St. Louis. He grew up in Wentzville, 25 miles from here, so there's so many of his friends that are Cardinal fans that wanted to come to a ball game to watch him pitch.
Lined over the glove of a leaping Phillips into center field. That's a base hit. They've got the runner caught between first and second, but back to the bag will be Molina, and another run will score. 4-0 St. Louis here in the first.
Well, on a night where the Reds could really have used a great outing, or at least a solid outing by their starter, to keep them from going to the bullpen so often. The Cardinals put a 4 spot on the board in the first inning, and there's only 1 out.
Melville hoping for something good to happen. Here's the pitching coach, Mark Riggins, out to talk to him. If Phillips had been able to glove it, they had the runner Grichuk well off the bag. He could have turned it into 2, but couldn't glove it. Goes as a base hit. Another run scores. 4-0. The lead belongs to the Cardinals, and here's Wong. Wong at 200, no homers, 2 knocked in. Cardinals on the way to 100 wins last year, won 55 at home. And that's the way they've been the last few years. I mean, they've been automatic at home, especially against the Reds. In the last 25 games between these two teams here in St. Louis, the Cardinals have won 18 of them.
Well, this is one place where you can really say in baseball, and it doesn't happen very often, but there is a hometown advantage of playing here. They sell out every night. They're avid fans, and for some reason, the Cardinals just really feed on the energy of this ballpark.
Backing out of play, a ball and a strike.
There are a lot of people who looked at this ball club in spring training and they compare it to the Pirates and they compare this team to the Chicago Cubs and they say, well, you know, on paper this team has gotten old or getting old. And they're not as athletic as they used to be. But they still have pitching and they have pretty good defense. And if you give them an opportunity like the Reds have in this inning, they will score some runs.
By their own admission, a different team when they play here at Busch Stadium 3. Fly ball to left. Schebler has it measured, going halfway as Molina. He retreats to first. There's your second out of the inning, and here comes the shortstop Diaz. Well, the Reds will have to play comeback baseball once again. They were adept at doing it at home in the opening week of the season. It's funny how a couple of pitches can change a whole series, Chris. When Brandon Finnegan had the game in control, game 1 in Chicago, it looked like the Reds were off and running against the Cubs. And a couple of pitches later, that game turned around, and in the final 2, the Cubs commanded the Reds and pounded out 22 runs. 4-0 St. Louis. Aledmys Diaz, who signed a $8 million deal out of Cuba with the Cardinals. That's rocketed but foul down the left field line.
Wow.
Man, that left the bat like a shot. Early on when he was signed, Ozzie Smith championed him as a guy who he thought would be up to the major leagues within a year or two. It's taken him almost 4 years, and it's taken injuries to open the door, but he's taken advantage of the opportunity. There's the pitcher Martinez hitting in the 9th spot on deck. Ninth pitch of the inning from Melville. Short lead, Molina down at first. Hopped up and out of play behind the Reds dugout. Sunday's game, a 2-1 walk-off win for the Reds over Pittsburgh. Tim became the second Reds pitcher this season to make his major league debut. The other was Robert Stevenson, the big tall right-hander for the Reds. From the stretch, Melville once again. Charging Suarez, and he can't get the ball out of his glove. Safe at first will be Diaz, and the 9th batter of the inning will come to the plate. I don't know that he would have gotten him in any event. charge Suarez with another error. So the Reds' subpar defense continues in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Well, it continues the agony also for Tim Melville out there. It's kind of funny how pitching and defense are so intertwined that you can set the stage for bad defense sometimes with some inaccurate pitching. And you walk the first 2 guys that you face on 8 pitches, and you feel like, all right, well, what else is going to fall apart here?
2 on, 2 out for Martinez.
So then the defense disappoints you a little bit, and they break down, and then the pitching gets worse. At some point, the ball club has to kind of strap itself up and say, hey, we're a whole lot better than the way we're playing right now.
2 walks and a homer, that's on Melville, but the rest of the inning on the defense. And the other part of an equation like this, Chris, you saw Alfredo Simon push 50 pitches in the first inning, and here Melville's at 34.
Well, you got to throw the ball over the plate.
Slip and falling at the plate as Martinez did not hit his foot, so Melville finally gets out of the inning, but 9 come to the plate. Big homer from Holiday, and it's 4-0 Cardinals. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Hey, feeling good? It's Skyline time. The river's down after a winter of some flooding along the banks of St. Louis. But the Cardinals are at high water mark right now. They've played well against Milwaukee in their season opening series at home, and Matt Holliday's given them an early 3-0 lead. It's 4-0 St. Louis as we go to the top of the second. Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, and Scott Schebler due up. Brandon at 280, a homer and 4 knocked in. You look at the numbers for the Reds against Martinez, aren't many that are impressive. Zach Cozart 3 for 10 and a homer. We told you about Joey Votto 0 for 7 coming in. And for Brandon Phillips, 4 for 15 is about average for this Reds team. Jay Bruce is only 1 for 12 and won a home run against Martinez. 2 balls, no strikes to the Reds second baseman. Hit hard, right at the shortstop. Diaz gloves it, and there's one away. Melville could use a lengthy rest after that first inning. Bruce will come to the plate at 333, couple of homers and 10 knocked in. That RBI figure of 10 is third in the league. And Chris, as you mentioned in the pregame show, I mean, mechanically he's made some changes, and that's reflected not only in numbers, but it reflects in his demeanor at the plate too.
Well, demeanor everywhere, George. You know, I mean, you carry an anchor around, as I said in the pregame, about, you know, when you're getting paid a lot of money and the fans' expectations are very high and you don't produce, then, you know, you don't want to engage yourself with the fans. You don't want to go out and joke around and have fun, because people look at you and say, what do you have to be happy about? You're hitting 210. So I think everything has changed for Jay Bruce this year. He worked hard in the wintertime to think about what he needed to do. I had a conversation with him about his batting style the other night, and he said for years and years, every batting coach and everybody who had advice for him would tell him, stop getting that left elbow way up in the air. You know, every time you flare that elbow way up, you start scooping your swing. He said he looked back and he thought over the winter, you know what, I've always done that, and I was a #1 draft pick by doing that, and a pretty good young player doing that. And he figured out that really wasn't the problem. And a lot of the credit has to go to Don Long, who's worked very hard with Jay Bruce to kind of bring him back to where he ought to be. And I think that he feels a lot better now than he has in a long time.
Here's a look at the way his approach has been modified with that elbow, Chris.
On the left, you see the elbow. Now, the elbow is still flared on the right. That's 2016. But his right shoulder is in more, and the angle of the bat does not face the pitcher quite as much.
Hit hard to right center field over his Grichuk. He'll glove it. So the Reds start the second with 2 hard hit balls, but right at defenders, 2 away.
You know, really what every hitter is trying to do is get a nice, clean, efficient, quick path to the hitting zone. And the less movement you have and the less loop you have in your swing, the better and more efficient it's going to be. And big guys like Jay Bruce sometimes battle it more than short, stocky hitters. But he's come a long way.
And he spent a lot of time not just hitting in the offseason, but looking at his swing, mentally approaching it. I mean, the 2 times I talked to him in the offseason, he was already tinkering, already thinking about how can I get better. And I tell you one thing you got to give him credit for, Chris, with all the talk of trades all winter long, he forgot all about that. There's a bouncer through the left side. Schebler will get the Reds' first hit. A 2-out base hit. They beat the shift, and the Reds have a runner on with 2 away. And here's Barnhart, the switch hitting catcher. There's a guy that you talk about playing with energy, Chris. He's brought energy to the Reds this year.
Well, he has. I mean, he's a very good athlete. He was a 5-sport athlete in high school with Scott Schebler. And he's quick. He's got a little pop. And a guy at the plate has brought some energy as well. Tucker Barnhart. And that's what you need. I mean, you know, there's nothing worse than seeing an older team underperform. This is a year in which the Reds are beginning a rebuilding process. And you know, you got to have a little fun in the process of doing it. And young guys that bring energy are some of the formula that really go a long way.
Tucker in at 385. That's a 2 hopper to second. Wong has it. The Reds get a hit, nothing to show for it. We're heading to the bottom of 2. Top of the order, Carpenter due up. Saturday at the ballpark, April 23rd, thanks to John Morrell. First 25,000 fans receive a Vod-O-Matic Super Bobblehead. For tickets to see your Redlegs take on the Cubs for as low as $12, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com today. Bottom of 2, here's Matt Carpenter. He started it all with a leadoff walk in the first. Carpenter walked, Hazelbaker walked, Holiday bombed a 3-run homer, and the Cardinals were off and running. Talk about the value of a leadoff hitter, and you know, the Reds certainly hope that Billy Hamilton will become the leadoff hitter that everyone believes he can be. But you don't have to be a speed burner. I mean, what Carpenter brings is a great eye. He'll work a pitcher. He'll force a pitcher to throw more pitches than he wants to throw, especially to lead off a game, giving the rest of your lineup a chance to see what the pitcher has. He's just a ball player, Chris.
Well, you're right, and he's a guy that has found a way to gut it out. You know, there are a lot of people out there in the stat world of baseball that don't really give the runners in scoring position stat very much credence. They say, well, a guy doesn't choose when he drives runs in, but the one exception to that, it might be Matt Carpenter. He's a guy that simply is able to etch his game up a couple of notches when he has to. And the Cardinals overall have been a very good team over the last few years in runners in scoring position, but this guy just seems to set the table. He's on base a lot. He has a combination of being able to get on base through walks and hitting a lot of doubles, which gives him the OPS that everybody would love to have.
There's Hazelbaker. He also walked in the first. Breaking ball, misses inside. Already 7 extra base hits for Jeremy. The guy who really thought he was going to be out of baseball. 7 years in the minor leagues, a couple of times looking at the end of the road, but just kept giving it a shot. That's a strike. I did the AAA World Series when he was at Pawtucket a couple of years ago. Came up from AA to AAA, gave the club a spark, and he's been known to have 2 or 3 weeks of outstanding baseball. Good athlete, does a lot of things well on the baseball field, and it's coming together for him here. Dribble down to first, but foul. Add it all up, this is where he sits. 481 overall, first in the league, and even better than that, 483 at home. 3 homers, tied for 4th, 7 extra base hits, and how's that for slugging percentage?
Well, that's the way to get out of the blocks. I mean, unless he does something like that, you're never going to notice him, and this may be his final shot.
Locked him up, swing and a miss, and that's strikeout number 2 for Tim Melville.
More often than not, when you see this side look at a hitter when he check swings, he does go. And what the umpire at third base is looking for is really that bat head. I mean, that would indicate whether you really attempted to attempt to hit the ball or not. There's no rule that says you have to break your wrist or get the bat out over the plate or anything else. It's a judgment call on the part of the umpire, a tough one. But usually that bat head will tell the story.
It's the veteran Jerry Meals down at third. Here's Holiday, first homer of the year, a 3-run shot after those 2 walks in the first. He said, my goal is to make my swing shorter and my beard longer, and I think he's succeeding in doing that. His dad, Tom, of course, a great college coach at Oklahoma State and now North Carolina State. I said, what'd your dad think of it? He said, oh, don't ask. Didn't think you would like it. Brother Josh is at Oklahoma State now, and you say what you want about all the other parts of the baseball equation, Matt Holliday, just a first-class guy and a leader in this clubhouse, a leader on this ball club, and everybody needs that.
Yeah, you're right, and a guy that has battled through a lot of injuries the last couple of years. He twice last year tore his quadriceps, and it took him a long time to come back. He lost a lot of action with the Cardinals last year because of that. And that's one of the things that they're concerned about. You know, sometimes you start getting injuries when you get older, and it accelerates your decline. Although, based on the home run he hit in the first inning, he looks like he's feeling just fine.
1 ball, 1 strike. That hits him on the shoulder.
Got him right on the elbow, actually.
Melville trying to get the wheels back on the track here in the second. A walk and a hit batter, 2 on with 1 out. Here's Piscotty, who was Melville's first strikeout victim in the first.
You know, there's nobody been up and warming up in the Reds bullpen. Last inning when the Cardinals scored 4, and this inning when they have 2 on and only 1 out. That gives you a little bit of an insight as to where this team is as far as this bullpen goes. They were so taxed during that 3-game series in Chicago that Brian Price is just so reluctant to pick that phone up because he knows those guys are on the verge of wearing out and wearing out quick.
And with a young staff, I mean, there's Mac Jenkins, who just did get the call. The one guy who you expected to give you innings was Alfredo Simon, and when he went down 50 pitches in the first inning, then you knew the rest of the week was going to be difficult without a day off.
Yeah, I've seen circumstances where a guy gets knocked around in the first inning like that, and he throws 40 or 50 pitches, and they bring him back in relief. I mean, this rotation can be somewhat fluid because you have some pitchers that are on the mend who are coming back, and you can plug them in as you want if you want to take that kind of chance. You don't have to be so rigid and say every 5th day is the only way that we have to play this thing, because this is no normal starting staff right now. Not until you get these Scafani back, not until you get Homer Bailey back.
First and second, 1 away. Piscotty at the plate. Get down to second. Phillips flips to second for 1, on to first. Yes, sirree. They'll turn a pair, and that'll end the second. So 2 on base, no harm. Reds go back to work. Bottom, top of 3. To team up with Surfrider Foundation in celebration of this month's Every Day is Earth Day initiative. By making simple changes in our daily lives, we can make a big impact on our environment. Go to foxsportsupports.com to learn more about what you can do to be part of the solution. There's Melville hitting in the 8th spot. Billy Hamilton to follow. Looking for his first hit. That's a shot, but foul down the first base line. Just tuning in tonight. Tonight, of course, April the 15th, the yearly date that we honor the great number 42, Jackie Robinson. That's a call, strike 3, and Melville's retired. That's strikeout number 2 for Carlos Martinez, and here's Billy Hamilton.
That's one of the better sliders that you're going to see out of a right-hander around. Of course, it takes arm speed to create the kind of rotation you need to get a good breaking ball going. And when your fastball reaches close to 100 miles an hour, the arm speed's there.
Billy bounces it to short. Diaz, quick flip to first, and Hamilton's retired. 4 pitches, 2 outs, and back to the top of the order, Cozart.
The next step for Carlos Martinez is simply to throw more strikes. You know, when you're walking 4 batters every 9 innings like he has as a starter, you know, you build up your pitch counts too quick. You may not go as deep in games as you wanted to. They shut him down after 179 innings last year with some shoulder stiffness at the end of the year. But they want him healthy and they want him strong, because he's the type of pitcher that, you know, if and when you get to the playoffs, Martinez is the kind of guy you want on your staff.
That's a bloop down the right field line. It'll drop for a hit, and Cozart, who keeps swinging and keep making contact, Chris. I mean, you saw it all spring training. Once he got into the lineup, every time he swings, he's making contact, and more often than not, he's getting base hits.
You know, it's remarkable. We're going to show you a stat about really how much contact that Zach Cozart has been making this year. And it's almost a head scratcher. It's so remarkable. And it may be a product of a more controlled swing. But Zach Cozart this year simply doesn't swing and miss very much. On all 34 swings he's taken this season, he's made contact. That doesn't mean he's put the ball in play. It doesn't mean he's gotten base hits. But he's at least fouling it off, and that is our IGS bringing the energy. And Zach Cozart bringing the energy with the bat on the ball.
You know, Chris, when the Reds lost Cozart last year, Zach was off to a great start. They lost their shortstop, but even more importantly that they lost part of the fiber of the ball club. He's one of those guys that every day you come in, you know what kind of an effort he's going to give you. You know what he's going to do defensively. He's always going to be there to make a smart play. There's a bloop to right. Wong gives chase, can't get it. Around second, going to third will be Cozart. Slamming on the brakes will be Eugenio Suarez, and the Reds have first and third and something cooking with 2 outs here in the third.
You know, it's interesting how guys that throw hard end up giving up more of these bleeders than, you know, the soft throwers. They jam guys more. You saw them off. You get your man on the end of the bat on their sliders. And I'll never forget a talk, I believe it was Sammy Ellis gave to Dave Righetti when he was in the minor leagues. Now, Dave Righetti's now the pitching coach for the Giants, came up with the Yankees, a very hard thrower. And he got beat one day by about 6 of these that fell in. And he said, you know what? Be lucky that you're the guy giving these up. It's an indication that you're one of the hardest throwers around. And that's probably what Martinez is beginning to think right here. What's going on?
Here's Joey looking for his first hit against Martinez. There's a strike on the breaking ball. Base hit here could get the Reds on the board. Votto bounced to second, first time up. I'll play him straight away. In the coach's box for the Reds down at first, Freddie Benavides, and as usual this year, Billy Hatcher down at third. From the stretch is Martinez. 96 down the middle, 0-2. Choking up is Joey on the 0-2 count. Martinez with that high riding 4-seam fastball in 96 to 98. The cutter, which will drop down in the lower 90s, and then the slider that looked more like a cutter, but it timed out as a slider in the 80s. From the stretch, the Cardinal right-hander in the air to left, hit pretty good with his back to home plate.
Wow.
Goes Hazelbaker. That's going to be gone. Joey chokes up. He goes the other way, and just like that, the Reds are back on the board and in this ball game. It's a 3-run home run for Votto, his first hit ever against Martinez. And you talk about making adjustments. That's what that guy does, Chris.
Well, Joey Votto has been waiting for this. I mean, to hit a ball hard enough to go out the opposite field, and I mean really hit it hard. And, you know, you could say that Martinez supplied the power. This was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that Votto chokes up, short swing, efficient, out of here. That shakes him up here in St. Louis a little bit. Shakes him up in that dugout a little bit too.
That's the way you lead.
A couple of bleeders and a bomb.
354 feet for the Reds first baseman, and they're on the board. It's a 4-3 ball game. You play the Cardinals in St. Louis, or for that matter, you play the Cubs in Chicago, and Brandon Finnegan did it in that first game. You get up on top and you silence them a little bit. It changes the demeanor of the ballpark, and here what was starting to be a raucous crowd now silenced by the big swing from Joey. Fouled at the plate. And you know, people talk about leading in different ways. You know, one of the best leaders that the Reds ever had came from here in St. Louis, Scott Rowland, when he came to Cincinnati, and he led in a very quiet way. Joey Votto leads by the way he plays. If that can't get that clubhouse up, if that can't get that dugout up, then you don't understand the game of baseball.
Well, I mean, you can learn a little bit from him too. I mean, we should learn something from Joey Votto each and every time he goes to the plate. I think he's the most compelling hitter in baseball to watch. He may not hit the most home runs, but just his approach is just, to me, so interesting. Because Martinez in that at bat, and I'd love to be able to go back to that at bat sometime later this game and break it down. I think it was a first pitch fastball. I mean, a first pitch breaking ball, a next pitch fastball. And that's when Votto had him where he wanted him.
Down to third. Carpenter has it. That'll do it. But hey, Joey gets the Reds on the board. His first hit ever against Martinez, a 3-run homer. It's a 4-3 ball game. .com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video, highlights, StatCast, news, and a whole lot more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball. High pop-up in the infield. Closing on it and hauling it in for out #1 is the shortstop Cozart. One away here in the bottom of the third.
Well, that's got to be a really great feeling for Tim Melville. 1 pitch, 1 out.
First time in 3 innings, Tim's been able to get the leadoff hitter. 1 away. Here's Molina. He singled to center to make it 4-0 in the first. Multi-Gold Glove winner, Platinum Glove winner as well defensively, and offensively he just gets better and better. And it's been great to watch him with the Cardinals, but even more impressively as you watched him in the World Baseball Classic the 3 times he's been there, 6, 9, and 13. You watch other players on the Puerto Rican national team, and it's pretty clear that this guy's probably going to be a manager someday. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He leads by the way he thinks and has the respect of his teammates. Line towards the alley. That'll go all the way to the wall. Tracking it down is the center fielder Hamilton. And Yadi Molina, who passed Albert Pujols for the most number of doubles in Busch Stadium 3 history, continues to add to that with this double to right center field.
Well, they feel that if his thumb is healthy, he can do this a whole lot. And it's taken him a long time. He had 2 surgeries, not just one on that thumb, to try to get it healed. That was in his glove hand, his left hand, when he injured it by making a swipe tag at home plate.
He passed Pujols yesterday, and he adds to that with his 125th 2-bagger.
You know, I'm not so sure about him and a manager. Not that he wouldn't be qualified. I mean, he might be the greatest manager ever. But I mean, how many guys that have put as many years in as he has behind the plate and has as many dollars in the bank as he does from playing in today's game of baseball? Why do you want to spend your retirement years working 24/7? Because managing now is kind of like general managing. There is no rest. Even the offseason is not an offseason. You're in meetings all the time. You're off scouting players. You're looking at free agents on the international market. Maybe you ought to sit back and enjoy life a little bit. Why doesn't he just go retire?
Right now. Here's Colton Wong. Jammed him, but it bloops into center. Here comes Hamilton, and they'll hold the runner at third. So it's first and third, a double and a single. Well, the other thing is he can get his brothers, and he doesn't have to worry about hiring a coaching staff.
Yeah, but they're not working for free.
By the way, congratulations to Major League Baseball, the Players Association, and USA Baseball. They named Jim Leland today the manager of the WBC team.
Oh, good.
For next year. Willie Randolph will be on his staff. Marcel Latchman will be on his staff again as their pitching coach. So here's Diaz, reached on an error first time up. One away, Reds double play depth, middle of the infield.
That was a tough error, really, to give Suarez.
Yeah.
I agreed with you when you initially said that even if he fields it cleanly, he doesn't get Diaz at first base. Diaz can really run. Now, the other one, the line drive that went through his legs, there was a no doubt error. No matter how hard it's hit right at you.
Short lead for Wong down at first. The Cardinals don't have many base stealers. Of course, gone from last year, Jason Hayward, who was their leading base stealer. Wong was second.
Well, they've stolen 4 bases so far this year.
Oh boy, a rocket shot to left, going back, looking up. That's going to be out of here. Just when it looked like the Reds were crawling back into it, Aledmys Diaz rips the second 3-run home run of the night and make it a 7-3 ball game. Now, we talked about Hazelbaker being an impact player early. This young man has too. Look at this swing.
He hung it so far in there. Diaz is really stepping in the bucket. Look at that left foot where it lands. And in the old pitching vernacular, he threw it where he just left.
Second home run. He's coming up from the minor leagues. And it's 7-3 Cardinals. And here's Martinez. Dribbling this one to the right side through a base hit. So after the first out, a double, a single, a homer, and then another single. And they're starting to heat up in earnest in the Reds bullpen. Straley starting to loosen, the big tall right-hander for the Reds. And out comes Riggins to buy a little time for Straley to loosen.
A little time is exactly right, George, because nowadays it's no longer an unlimited amount of time for that pitching coach to go out there until finally the home plate umpire breaks it up. They get 30 seconds exactly before the umpire comes and tells them your time is up. Riggins is out of there before the clock hits 0. And Matt Carpenter will bat for the 3rd time in 3 innings.
2 walks for Carpenter here in the bottom of the 3rd. He comes up with a runner on first and 1 away. Melville from the stretch. Breaking ball drops in there.
Very patient is Carpenter, 30 years old now, former #1 pick by the Cardinals. He was the 13th player taken overall in 2009.
High fly ball to left. Schebler under it. He's got it going halfway as Martinez. He'll retreat. So they finally get Carpenter out, and that's been tough for the Reds to do since he came to the major league. Last year, no exception. He hit over 360 against the Reds last year, and an on-base percentage over 400 against the Reds. But 2 away, and here's Hazelbaker, a walk and a strikeout in his 2 plate appearances. Knocked down by Melville, and they'll get the out, but the damage done. A double by Molina, a single by Wong, and a big swing by Diaz makes it 7-3 Cardinals. Eugenio Suarez, the 2 fuels to the offense through the first week and a half. Bruce 10 runs batted in, Suarez 9 runs batted in, 19 combined runs batted in, tied for 2nd most in Major League Baseball, and the Reds have needed their offense, Chris.
Well, they do. I mean, you need every bit of offense you can get all the time. Suarez, I think, has surprised a lot of people. I'm not so sure he surprised people that are close to the Reds, though. Because when they made that trade for Alfredo Simon, there were some people in this organization that were just glowing about the deal they made with the Tigers to get a hitter like Suarez. And as it turns out, they've got Simon back as it is. So that was a dandy of a transaction they were able to pull.
There's Jay Bruce lined out to center, his first time up in the 2nd. You know, we mentioned Jim Leyland being named the American WBC manager for this coming year. And it was Jim Leland who, as a advisor to the Tigers after the trade was made, said this guy's going to hit 280. He's going to hit with some power, and he can play short. And Leland was right. Into the shift this time. Wong has it, and they'll get Dave Bruce by a step down at first. One away in the fourth, and here's Schebler. He got the Reds' first hit in the second. Reds trail 4-0, but in the third, Cozart single with 2 outs. Suarez reached on an infield hit, and then Votto banged his first homer of the year and his first career hit against Martinez, a 3-run shot. The Reds were within 1. But Diaz got those 3 runs back with another swing of the bat. You mentioned playing with energy, and boy, Schebler sure does. Whatever he does, it's like he's plugged into a generator. Doesn't get cheated on his swings. Hustles offensively and defensively.
And really, sometimes that can be your best friend or your best enemy if you can't slow the game down a little bit. And really, by his own admission, that's one of the things that he really wanted to work on. He was telling me about his first ever spring training with the Dodgers, where everything was going so fast that he knew he had the talent, but he just couldn't get over the nerves and the tension that he put on himself the deeper and deeper he got into camp.
Lucky snare by Martinez. There's your second out on the 1-3 putout.
You know, Martinez is a hard thrower, but here's an example of how much harder all pitchers in baseball are throwing now. He averages right around 95 miles an hour on his fastball this year as a starter. He is only 10th in baseball in that category. I mean, there are 9 pitchers in baseball as starters that throw harder than Carlos Martinez. And then if you want to say, I mean, he's at 94.9, and there's a whole bunch of them stuck at 94.5 and up. It's really remarkable what the change that we're looking at in pitching, happening just over the last few years, right before our very eyes.
Same thing in the bullpens. I mean,
especially in the bullpen.
Wow. 1 ball, 1 strike to Tucker Barnhart.
And if you're sitting at home wondering, all right, who are the top guys? Noah Syndergaard of the Mets, obviously, averaging 98.1. Nathan Eovaldi for the Yankees, 97.2, and Garrett Richards with the Angels at 96.4.
I mean, there was a time when you put your bullpen together and you might have 1 or 2 guys in the upper 90s, and then you look for the sinker ballers, a left-hander and a right-hander. You look for a long man, and they were usually right around 89, 90. Now everybody's over in the mid-90s.
I'm convinced that 5 years from now, every team will have 2 guys on it that can throw 100 miles an hour. Not just reach it one time in a year or in their career, but will work up around at 100 miles an hour. Because there's a whole new wave of pitchers coming up that are just breaking all sorts of speed records.
That's a walk to Barnhart, a 2-out free pass.
And I'm not so sure it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this over the years. You know, that has to be a contributing factor to young players and the increase in arm injuries, especially Tommy John surgery.
Well, you know, and I'm no expert in biomechanics at all, but you know, there are some theories out there that the same motion that enables you to throw hard is the same motion that encourages elbow problems.
Here's Tyler Holt, who'll come in to pinch hit for Melville. So Melville's night is done. After allowing those 7 runs, Holt pinch hitting here in the 4th.
And you may say, well, what is that motion? And essentially it's early pronation. That's as deep as I'll get into it until we do it on Tech Talk.
That's a Tech Talk special right there. Swing and a miss, no balls, 2 strikes. And in every young pitcher that you talk to that is waiting to be scouted, waiting to be picked, waiting to be drafted. They know that people look at the radar guns. They want to throw as hard as they can, as long as they can. And I mean, your great pitching guru, Robin Roberts, that learned how to pitch first. Fouled off.
I mean, it's funny because even this last week, the Reds saw John Lackey, Jason Hamill. I mean, none of these guys were throwing 95 and up. The opening day starter that they faced, who did a pretty good job against him, Jeremy Hellickson, was throwing at 88 miles an hour. I mean, guys who throw 88 out of college don't get drafted anymore. But they do start opening days for big league teams.
No balls, 2 strikes. Did he get him? Yes, he did. Well, the Reds strand the runner. They trail it 7-4. Traley will be on his way in as we head to the bottom of 4.
Park, Friday, April 22nd. Cheer on Joey Votto and your Reds when they take on the Cubs for as low as $12. Plus, stick around after the game for a spectacular fireworks show thanks to Thomas More College. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Dan Straley takes over on the mound for Cincinnati. Now you see him right there writing some initials into the dirt. He does it every time he takes the mound. And I found out he writes the initials of his great-grandfather and the year in which his great-grandfather passed away. His grandparents were a very big influence on him, and he was lucky enough, even though it was at a young age, to get to know his great-grandparents, of which I wasn't even born when they were still on Earth. But he said it was such an influence that he carries that memory to the mound each and every time.
Impressive legacy. Here's Straley making his 3rd appearance of the year, and that was the way the end of March went for him. 3 different teams in the span of a week, Chris. It's been a whirlwind for him.
Well, this is exactly why the Reds signed Dan Straley. They were happy when he became available, actually, because he's got some pretty good credentials as a major league pitcher. But they don't feel that he's going to be a rotation guy, but they do feel that he would be an ideal long man, who, if your starter gets knocked around, you bring somebody in who can eat up some innings, throw strikes, has 3 different pitches that he can throw for strikes, and does not pitch scared.
So the numbers for Melville: he goes 3 innings, allows the 7 runs and 5 hits. And here's Holiday, who greeted him with the 3-run home run in the first, then was hit by a pitch 2nd time up, and he's on for the 3rd straight time. So in 3 of the 4 innings, the Cardinals have gotten the leadoff batter on. 2 walks and a hit batsman. Here's Piscotty, struck out, bounced into a double play. Now, Reds fans know full well that this will be a transitional year with the young pitching trying to get its feet on the ground, especially the starters, and that's been further complicated by waiting for Homer Bailey, waiting for DeSclafani to get healthy and get in, waiting for John Moscott. And the good news is John Moscott will start on Sunday, Chris. It'll be good to see him in the rotation again for Brian Price.
You know, he was just about given a spot on this rotation, given the way he was throwing the ball in spring training, what he did last year in AAA. Very unfortunate that he got sidelined, not with an arm injury, but with an oh-so-common side injury. Somewhat similar to what, but not exactly the same as what Anthony DeSclafani is on the shelf with. A lot of those going around in baseball, too.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Piscotty with Grichuk on deck. Loop to second, and that's all they'll get. Alert base running by Holiday, who gets back. 1 away, 1 on, and here comes Grichuk. If you're just joining us, this is the day we honor the great Jackie Robinson. All the players through Major League Baseball wearing number 42. Of course, here 42 has been retired a couple of times. That was Bruce Suter's number 2. Another Hall of Famer. Talk about a tough reliever. You talk about bullpen guy, man.
Well, he was one of the first relievers, at least in the modern day era, that had a trick pitch, which was that splitter, and it would go straight down when he threw it. He'd throw it at your knees, and every time you swung, he was throwing a splitter, and at your knees, and every time you took a pitch, he was throwing a fastball at your knees, and it didn't sink. He just had a knack for knowing when you were going to swing. I mean, it was pretty much over when they brought him in.
Number 42. And I mean, Elroy Face called it a fork ball. For him, it was a splitter. Hit foul down the third base line. And I mean, the first time you shook hands with him, you knew why it was such a lethal pitch. His fingers are about twice as long as anybody else's. Amazing. And it's not a pitch that you can easily throw if you have small hands and be effective with it.
Correct. And it is also a pitch that if you overthrow it, it can have a ill effect on your elbow area, especially as a youngster.
Breaking ball in the dirt. I remember when he left here and signed the contract to go to Atlanta, and finally he did get save number 300 there, but he blew out his elbow, and we were sitting with Whitey Herzog and somebody at the winter meetings, and they said the operation on his elbow was a success, and Whitey said it's a success when he comes back and pitches. And that's a great line, because it doesn't happen until you get back and, number 1, heal, number 2, show that you can still pitch. Back then it was different. It was a different operation than it is today.
Yeah, you're right, but I mean, if you want to hold that literally, then doctors would only operate on Hall of Famers.
He's smart. Well, I can imagine that the cheer from the crowd has to be for the St. Louis Blues. They're playing the Chicago Blackhawks up the street from here. They won game 1 of the playoff series, 1-0, and there it is. Yep, they have scored to lead 1-0 in game 2 of the playoffs, and there's a swing and a miss by Grichuk for out number 2. They're watching at Ballpark Village, right past the left field stands. They're watching the baseball game and the hockey game, and they saw the goal that gave the Blues a 1-0 lead. It's been good news and bad news for St. Louis sports fans this week. Cardinals have played well. The Blues have played well, but they lost their football team again. The Rams, of course, going to Los Angeles, and this week they made the deal for the number 1 pick. And the belief is it'll probably be a quarterback. Either Jared Goff, a UCal quarterback, or Carson Wentz, one of the two. That's a hard hit ball to center. Back is Phillips, and he'll haul it in. So Straley dances the tightrope, gets out of the jam. Reds go back to work. Hamilton will lead it off when we return.
Major League Baseball. Everyone wearing the number 42. I'm Jim Day. Billy Hamilton will lead off this half inning. He's not only wearing the 42, but he's got some special spikes as well provided by Adidas, and he sent out this tweet this afternoon which will show you these spikes. And he said, I'm honored to play today with the number 42 on my back and the Jackie cleats on my feet, as he holds them up. And I got to tell you, George and Chris, these are amongst the sweetest spikes I have ever seen. They are custom made, and they've got all kinds of things with Jackie Robinson on there, including a picture of Jackie when he was at UCLA, Rookie of the Year honor, some of the awards that he won along the way. There's a lot of detail on those spikes, and man, he's proud to wear them. He was fired up talking about it before the game, and it's the legend just continues to grow and grow of the great Jackie Robinson.
You know, JD, we go through this every year, and you're down in the clubhouse every year when we do Jackie Robinson Day. And I think the best news is that when it first started, I mean, people gave lip service to who Jackie was, but now over the years, they've really learned. The younger ball players have learned not just the player that he was, but what he meant to baseball, and as can be witnessed by Ken Burns' new Jackie Robinson saga, the two-part saga that's on public TV this week, what he meant to this country. And I know you've seen it in the clubhouses.
There's no doubt. It seemed, like you said, it just grows and grows every year, and it's a terrific documentary, two-part, by the way, by Ken Burns. I have caught that. And it's also growing amongst fans. I actually heard a youngster down here by the camera well asking his father, why is everyone wearing number 42? And the dad went on to explain why, and explain what Jackie Robinson did and what it meant to the game. So it's also a teaching moment as well for young fans.
And isn't that what baseball is, Chris? I mean, you'd sit with your dad, Dan, and you sit watching a ball game in Riverfront. Billy swings and misses. He's retired. There's a first out here of the fifth. And you talked about the game, about why players did this or why players did that. You point to the retired numbers that didn't have a name next to them and say, you know, who was that? And you learn about the game.
You're right. And it's also fun to learn about the players, George, because there are a lot of players that are playing on these fields now in major leagues that came really from nothing. And they've come a long way against a lot of odds to be able to get where they are. And that's the other thing that you kind of remind yourself about when you honor the legend of Jackie Robinson. But Jim Day, I got one question for you, and it's the obvious question for a lot of people, like me out there anyway. What happens to those spikes after tonight? Is Billy going to keep those? Are they going to auction those? Are they going into a Hall of Fame somewhere? Have you heard what's going to happen to those spikes?
That is a very good question, one which I will pose to him, and I'll get back with you tomorrow. But I know he's got a couple of them and Adidas, which they provide him with apparel, is providing those spikes for everyone that they have throughout Major League Baseball. So I think he has more than one pair, and I would imagine that the ones he's wearing tonight are going somewhere special, but I'll find out for
you. You wear the same size you wear, JD?
I have made it known in the clubhouse.
Guaranteed.
That anyone that has size 12, I'm available if they have extras.
Those big boats. Base hit for Cozart. He continues to hammer away. His second hit, he's 2 for 3. Here's Suarez, who struck out and reached on an infield hit. In the third, Cozart with 2 outs singled. So did Suarez, and then Votto ripped his first homer of the year to get the Reds to within 1, 4-3. Cardinals, if you're just joining us, scoring on a 3-run home run from Holiday in the first, another 3-run home run from Diaz in the third, and a base hit by Molina that produced a run. Carlos Martinez peers over at Cozart, down at first. That'll kick to the backstop, and Cozart will go all the way to second.
You know, Carlos Martinez is one of those players to which I refer about having come a long, long way and against a lot of odds to be able to become a major league player, where he was born and raised in Puerto Rico, or in the Dominican Republic, in Puerto Plata, in a very rural zone, Colinas del Sur. His mother died when he was very young. He was raised by his uncle, and he ended up taking his uncle's last name, Matias. So when he was signed by the Boston Red Sox, they didn't have any paperwork to verify when he was born. So he was essentially suspended from baseball until they tried to figure out, you know, getting the necessary birth certificate and so on. And then after he served that suspension, the Cardinals came in and signed him. He was completely exonerated of any wrongdoing at all. There was no hanky-panky going on of trying to shave years off his age or anything like that. But I mean, it's really a heartwarming story when you dig in and find out what's going on.
There's Votto after homering last time up. He hits a 2-hopper down to first. Holiday has it, and the Reds are retired. 7-3 Cardinals behind Martinez. Ohio, being brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on United States News Best Children's Hospital. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Chris Welch, Jim Day here in St. Louis for the first of 3. Tim Melville, if you joined us late, started, went 3 innings but allowed 5 hits and 7 runs, and exited to Dan Straley, who is the Reds' second pitcher of the night. Here's Colton Wong. The scoring for the Cardinals. Melville walked the first 2 he faced, then gave up a 3-run homer to Holiday. And after the first of 2 errors in the first inning, Yadi Molina singled to make it 4-0. The Reds came back on a single by Cozart, a single by Eugenio Suarez, and a Joey Votto homer, his first of the year, to 3-run shot to make it 4-3. But then in the third, with 1 out against Melville, Molina doubled, Wong singled, and a home run by Diaz made it 7-3, and that's where we are. Diaz sitting in the on-deck circle. Jammed him down at second. Phillips has it. And Wong's retired. First out here at the bottom of 5. Hey, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. That's a view from Ballpark Village, which is just across the walkway outside the ballpark here. Now they're building a new stadium in Atlanta. We'll be heading down to Atlanta this year for the Reds' final trip to the old stadium. And a couple of the people who were instrumental in putting together Ballpark Village here have been signed on and hired down in Atlanta. They're going to do the same thing there. Off the end of the bat, blooped into left center. Here comes Billy. He's got it and he holds on. 2 away. Diaz is retired. So look for another Ballpark Village like concept in Atlanta. And Chris, I think you're seeing the same thing. Another look at Billy. Goes a long way to track this one and haul it in.
Boy, he has a tendency to be able to shrink an outfield, doesn't he? This is a big outfield here.
Sometimes you watch him and you think you're watching it in sped up action, don't you? It's like they're running the tape fast.
I mean, even on those balls where he doesn't get a great jump, speed can make up for it.
Here's Carlos, 1 for 2. Singled his last time up. Under the glove of Straley. Backhanded by Phillips to Gold Glover. Got him. Great play by Brandon. A 1-2-3. And hey, that's the first 1-2-3 for the Reds on this night. Brandon to break, and Brandon to the bat rack when we return. April in the Ohio brings game 2 of the Reds and Redbirds in an afternoon affair at Busch Stadium 3. Ryan Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro kick things off at 1:30 with Reds Live, with the game to follow. April in the Ohio, presented by Meyer. And tomorrow it'll be Brandon Finnegan. Boy, was he something else in Chicago. Looking no-hitter through 6. was in the best of his game. And oh yeah, by the way, Wainwright's back, Chris.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of time until he's going to be back and reaching the point at which that he becomes a top rotation guy on this team. And they need him. There's no question about it, because, you know, by everybody who's watched his ball club and what they did over the winter, what they didn't do over the winter, what they have, their strength is pitching, their strength is defense. They don't have a lot of speed. They don't hit very many home runs. And he's also very much of a team leader, Adam Wainwright.
There he is right there with Mike Matheny. And, you know, you talk about the stamp of a good manager. It starts right there with communication. Communicate with your stars. Communicate with everyone from top to bottom. And Lou Piniella had a great line, Chris. Remember when Barry Larkin was going into the Hall of Fame? We did a piece with him, and we asked Lou about Barry's career, and he said, well, he's my best leadoff hitter, my best number 2 hitter, my best number 3 hitter. And if I need to, he can be my best number 4 hitter. And, you know, if I ever had a problem in the clubhouse, all I had to do was whisper in his ear, and that problem was all gone.
Yeah.
That's Adam Wainwright. That was Chris Carpenter.
And it's Lou Piniella to recognize that out of a player. And I think Mike Matheny the same way. Interesting you brought Lou up, because we used Lou in our Cincinnati Bell Tech Talk tonight. His hitting philosophy. I hope you saw that, because very interesting to talk to Lou about the hitting. People don't realize, I mean, he was one heck of a major league hitter.
I tell everybody that in my career, if I listed the top 5 hitting coaches I was around, he's one of those. I mean, he was an outstanding manager, but he was even a better hitting coach. And I think his addition to the Reds operation will reap a lot of benefits for this organization. I think Bob Castellini has done a great job in bringing him in. And, you know, he's a guy that also knows Brian Price, and he's mentored Brian Price when he was his pitching coach, and he can help in that transition to be a successful major league manager. And, you know, you talk about communicating. It's being honest. And that's what Lou was. I mean, he would yell at you and he'd scream at you. And, you know, he and Rob Dibble had their moments. He and Paul O'Neill had their moments. But the bottom line is everybody in that clubhouse respected him. And in the end, you'd have a dust up, and then you'd end up hugging. I remember when
even Rob Dibble he would hug.
Yeah, they became great friends after their dust up. I remember when Lou was here, and I did in 1990, I did a CBS radio game with the Yankees, and Don Mattingly was in the middle of a swing and a miss from Brandon Phillips. He's retired, first out of the 6th. That's strikeout number 6 for Martinez. Mattingly was mired in a slump in 1990, and I got a tape from the video man of the Yankees and brought it to Lou. Lou said, "What's wrong with Mattingly?" I handed him the tape. He had asked me to pick it up, and after looking at the tape, 3 or 4 days later, he gives Mattingly a call, and over the phone he gave Mattingly a couple of tips here or there, and within 2 weeks Mattingly was back on the beam, up at 285, 290 once again.
Well, I mean, you know, you hear that a lot. A junior used to call Ken Griffey Sr.
Yep.
You know, for advice, and I still think that Brandon Phillips talks to his dad about that.
Hey, Senior used to call Junior. Remember, we'd be with Senior when he was in Seattle, and he'd call the clubhouse, right?
Although the best line about that I ever heard was when Pete Rose Jr. called his dad and said, "I'm in a slump. I haven't had a hit for a long, long time." He says, and he told him, "Go call Concepcion. I don't know what a slump is."
That's right. There's a ground ball out. Jay Bruce is retired. There's 2 away. Remember when we asked Johnny Bench when the Reds were in a 9-game losing streak? What did you do? What did you tell your teammates? He said, "What are we talking? We never had a 9-game hitting streak and a 9-game losing streak." What a unique group that was. I mean, you didn't have one leader. They were all leaders. They all led in their own individual way. Johnny told Sparky, just leave us alone, don't get in our way, and we'll make you a hero. And he sure was right, wasn't he? But boy, there was mutual love with Sparky through every one of those men. This Schebler singled and bounced out 1 for 2. Hit hard down to second. Wong knocks it down, and they'll just get him by a step. Hit hard, but nothing to show for it. Reds go quietly in the 6th to the bottom of 6. 7-3 Cards. Take advantage and save with a family Sunday ticket offer. Enjoy live mascot races, face painters, games, and a whole lot more. Plus, thanks to College Advantage, all kids 14 and younger receive a Reds super themed fathead. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Once again, Carpenter leading off here in the 6th. He led off the first with a walk and scored, led off the second, and he leads off here in the 6th. Tomorrow it's a 2:15 start. Will be on the air with the Reds pregame at 1:30. Adam Wainwright against Brandon Finnegan, and on Sunday it's John Moscott against Michael Wacha. Hope you join us here on Fox Sports Ohio as the Reds conclude their road trip and then head home. We talked a lot about it during the month of March, and in opening week, Chris, this is not an easy way to start the season. I mean, 3 games against the Phillies, but then Pittsburgh, Chicago, St. Louis, and then you go back around one more time against the Cubs and the Pirates, and throw in the Mets and Colorado. First 5 weeks against mostly teams that are expected to be in the postseason.
Well, look around the own division and you see it doesn't get a whole lot easier for Brian Price and company, because Pittsburgh, Cardinals, and Cubs are among 3 favorite picks by everybody.
This hit a ton to center field. Back is Hamilton going up. Did he get it? He got it. He got it. Billy Hamilton picks the pocket of Matt Carpenter with a brilliant catch at center field to celebrate Jackie Robinson. Wow. Go, Billy, go. A divot in the padding in center field. Some catch, Chris.
What a play. I mean, I'm just stupefied by watching Billy Hamilton play defense. I mean, we've seen him make a sliding catch coming in seemingly a couple hundred feet to chase a ball that looked like it was destined to fall in for a base hit and rob a hit last inning. This time he goes over the center field wall.
You said it early, Chris. You match pitching and defense, and he may struggle at times offensively, but I mean, he's been a finalist for the Gold Glove all 3 years he's been in the major leagues.
This pitching staff will be buying him a steak every day.
Ironically, that catch is in almost an identical spot that occurred yesterday when the Cardinals were playing Milwaukee. Broxton tried to glove a Randall Grichuk home run. It went off his glove right here and then fell into the grass for a homer. This time Billy pulls it back. That was the controversial play when Grichuk actually passed Brandon Moss.
Well, Cardinal fans for so many years, and the Reds got a glimpse of him at the very end of his career with Jim Edmonds. Seemed to do that once a week. And I'm sure there are more than one person in this stand saying, man, do you remember Edmonds used to do that?
Holiday to center. Nobody's going to get this. That's way up the berm in center field. Matt Holiday. Two homers tonight. A 3-run shot in the first, his first of the year, and a big bomb here in the sixth, his second.
Well, reports of Matt Holliday's demise might be premature.
Man. To the back of the berm in center field. So 2 homers for Holiday tonight. He comes alive. And it's now 8-3 St. Louis. Career multi-homer game for the big guy from Oklahoma. Man. Hitting coach John Mabry next to him. And you talk about Edmonds and the catches he made. How many times did he rob Jason LaRue, right? Here in St. Louis and then in Cincinnati too. At least 3 times he pulled home runs back off the wall. This one to right field. Bruce going back. He'll haul it in, but the damage done. A big time bomb for Matt Holiday. 8-3 Cardinals lead. summary from St. Louis. On Jackie Robinson night, it's been home run derby. Matt Holliday's first homer of the year makes it 3-0 Cardinals in the first. Becomes 4-0 until Joey Votto delivers a 3-run homer in the third to pull the Reds to within 1. Add another homer to that as Diaz makes it a 7-3 ball game, and then Matt Holliday delivers the big bomb of the night to straightaway center field. 8-3, the Cardinals have the lead. First out of the 7th on a ground ball off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. That's your Honda game summary for the night. There's Devin Mesoraco who will come in to pinch hit for Straley. Melville went 3 innings, allowed 5 hits and 7 runs. 3 innings for Straley. And Mesoraco will pitch hit. Did not start tonight. And JD, what's the latest on Mesoraco in his health story?
Well, it's a great sign to see him out there, George, because he said before the game that he was close to coming back, but it's a weird injury, and they describe it as a leg injury, and it's the opposite leg of the hip that he had surgery on. I guess that's part of the good news. But you ask Devin about it, and he says, well, it's kind of my quad, my groin, my hip. It's kind of the whole leg. He's had a hard time getting that leg stretched out for whatever reason. The cold in Chicago didn't help him, but he made a big strides the last couple of days, and a big enough stride that Brian Price sent him up to the plate right there. So that is a great sign that he was in the game right there.
Fly ball to center, and here's Billy trying to stretch 1 into 2, and he does. Hamilton double on the looping line drive into center field. So Billy's in scoring position with 2 outs here in the 7th.
Billy's swinging the bat a little bit better left-handed. I mean, there was a time last year he was struggling so mightily left-handed that he considered going to the ball club and asking him if he could only hit right-handed. And I'm glad that they have insisted upon him continuing as a switch hitter, because that's going to work. And that's the kind of hitting that's going to make him a lot of money in this ball game and make the Reds a lot of better ball club.
Back to the top of the order, Cozart. Zach 2 for 3, a single to left and a single to right, and fly to center his other time up.
There's another swing and another contact made by Cozart. Really remarkable.
Came in at 33, add 4, so Josh Hall with his Arabicus down in the truck says it's now 37. Make that 38 swings and contact with each one.
It's amazing what you can find tracked in a major league game nowadays. No wonder they say that there are like millions of points of data that come out of, baseball every night.
No balls, 2 strikes from the stretch. Martinez. Grounded to the right side. Wong tracks it down, throws him out, and that'll do it. So a 2-out double from Billy. Nothing to show for it. To the bottom of 7, Grichuk will lead it off.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Hey, Reds fans, if you can't watch the games on television, you can now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the Reds wherever you go to stay connected with the Reds all season long.
Well, we talked about it, and it seems that Brian Price is agreeing to that throwback method of managing, which is use your starters as relievers if you need them. And we're going way back in baseball for that to happen. Alfredo Simon, he pitched as a starter the day before yesterday in Chicago. He went 2/3 of an inning in that ball game and ended up throwing only 49 pitches. So this is the day that he was going to throw on the side anyway. Why not do it to batters?
Big swing by Grichuk. Guess what? That's long gone. Well, the Cardinals have found their hitting stride this week at home. Holiday 2 home runs. Diaz another. The 4th home run of the night for St. Louis. A leadoff shot in the 7th, and Grichuk has given the Cardinals a 9-3 lead.
Boy, location. You know, if you watch the way other teams are pitching Randall Grichuk, he's a guy that steps in the bucket. He wants the ball on the inner part of the plate. He's an excellent high ball hitter. And from what I've watched on a little bit of video that I have of the Cardinals this year, he's a guy that, you know, has a hard time with a steady diet of breaking balls away and fastballs on the outer part of the plate. At this level, if you can't pitch to a scouting report, that's what's going to happen.
And that's how he got in trouble the other day, too. Usually he's down around the knees and couldn't get there.
And I thought that maybe the other day the extremely cold temperatures up there at Wrigley Field and the wind blowing may have something to do with his being able to grip the baseball. And because he's normally a guy who can throw the ball where he wants to, but he doesn't look comfortable right now. And he did not look comfortable the other day in Chicago. But when in doubt, throw the ball low and away.
Right there. That's a strike to Molina. Yadi's 2 for 3, singled in a run in the 1st, doubled in the 3rd, and lined out in the 4th. Got in on him, popped up. Suarez giving chase. Who's going to get there? Nobody. Hits off the screen. Start with Bailey and DeSclafani and Moscott on the disabled list from their starting rotation. Simon's presence important. You know, and Brian Price said it at the end of spring training when we sat with him. He said, how do you look at this pitching situation? He said, we're going to struggle for a couple of months until we get everybody healthy, and then hopefully the starters will find their niche and we can straighten out the bullpen. That's still 2 questions to be answered that haven't happened yet. Molina flies out. First out.
Well, I wouldn't think that Brian Price wants to struggle through a couple of months of this. I think things are about to get better in a hurry if you can get a good outing out of Moscott, and if you can get Anthony DeSclafani back on the list. And before you know it, we're going to be in the month of May and be waiting for Homer Bailey.
Bobbled by Suarez. By Cozart, rather, and reaching base safely will be Colton Wong. Cozart, as it skipped, it looked like it skipped off the edge of the grass as well as the glove. Third error for the Reds tonight. Ozark charged with the miscue. And here comes Diaz. He reached on an error, homered, and then flied to center field. Jocketty and Dick Williams decided to re-sign Randall Simon. And part of the reasoning with a young staff is hopefully bring someone in who can give you every fifth day almost a guaranteed 5 or 6 innings. Didn't do it the other day, and they really need him to do that to be valuable to this starting rotation. If not, then you put him back where he was with the Reds before, which is in the bullpen. Looped into left, and it's over the leaping effort of Shedler. Having to hold is Wong at second base, and he'll only get to third. So Diaz will get to second, Wong will get to third. So it's second and third with one away. Where the ball jumps off his bat, doesn't it?
It really jumps off his bat. I mean, he takes a big high leg kick, and right now he's getting pitches that are up in the zone and very hittable for him. But you gotta like his bat speed, the way the ball jumps off his bat. He's another guy, very interesting sign when the Cardinals ended up signing him. He came over from Cuba, and he established residency in Mexico. And he was suspended from Major League Baseball after they just didn't have the right paperwork, because he came over from Cuba and they couldn't really trace down the right kind of birth certificates and everything else. So that when the Cardinals saw him and signed him in a showcase, they gave him a lot of money. I think $8 million as an amateur player. He essentially sat out 18 months. So it had been a long time before he was able to actually play in professional baseball, but he's played catch up in a hurry. Last year at this time he was playing Double-A, knocking the cover off the ball. The end of the year they brought him up to Triple-A, and he had a tremendous last half month of the season there.
Here's Brandon Moss pinch hitting. He drills this one to right. Back is Bruce. It is into the bullpen and gone. Another 3-run home run for the Cardinals. Brandon Moss pinch hitting for Martinez here in the 7th. Rifles one over the right field wall into the Cardinals bullpen, and it's 12-3 St. Louis. Now the Cardinals have had a plethora of pinch hit home runs. That is their 5th of the early part of the season. 5 pinch hit home runs. 3 of them came in one game. And it's now 12-3 St. Louis.
You know, George, Reds fans were expecting you to show up in St. Louis and bring a little better luck than this.
Man,
not
oh
pile
man.
on.
Man, oh man. Alfredo Simon, difficult outing in Chicago and a difficult inning here as well in the 7th. 2 homers, 1 to Grichuk, and then his 3-run shot to Moss. 12-3, and back to Carpenter.
Now for the Cardinals, pinch hitting and home runs have gone hand in hand this year. This is their 5th pinch hit home run of the season. All of last year, the entire 2015 season, they had 4.
Three and 1. That's at the knees for a strike. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Carpenter. Carpenter 2 walks, 2 fly ball outs. One of them a spectacular catch by Billy Hamilton in center. That's a call, strike 3. Finally, second out of the inning.
I mean, the Cardinals are not known, at least last year in 2015, as a home run hitting ball club. They ranked 25th in all the major leagues in that department. But they are dialing 8 here tonight.
There's Hazelbaker hitting in the number 2 spot, 0 for 3, and a walk. The beneficiary of this explosion. Smile on the face of Carlos Martinez, who stands to win on this night in St. Louis.
That may be all for Martinez, as they've got their bullpen up and ready to go, it appears. That's pretty relaxed. They pinch hit for him, and that's a pretty relaxed body language in that dugout. That's how you feel when you're on the winning side of a 12-3 score. Smiles, relaxation.
You see Brian Pena right in the middle of that shot, the former Red. Pena signed in the offseason, had a knee operation, and it'll be at least a month before he's back. And Peralta next to him out with a finger injury. It'll be a while before he's back. 3 balls, 1 strike. To Hopper down to second. Phillips has it. That'll do it, but a leadoff home run from Gritchett, and then a 3-run bomb from Moss makes it 12-3. It's 10 hits for the Redbirds, 3 runs, 6 hits, and 3 errors for the Reds. Jonathan Broxton, the former Red, will take over. Broxton takes over for Carlos Martinez, who goes 7 innings and allows the 3 runs and the 6 hits for Cincinnati.
Big John's had a pretty good start. 4th game overall, has not given up a run yet.
Sky to right, back at the wall, reaching up and hauling it in is Piscotty.
I'll tell you, when Broxton was with the Reds, one of my favorite Reds players. Just a good dude. Of course, it's always good to make friends with the biggest guy on the team.
Yeah. His son's probably almost as big as he is now, right? It was always great to have him around.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Suarez flies out, and here's Votto. Joey, the only bright spot offensively for the Reds on this night, a 3-run homer in the third. Cardinals took a 4-0 lead, but Votto, after singles by Cozart and Suarez, homer to make it 4-3, and the Reds looked like they were going to be back in the ball game, but St. Louis took over from there. When he was with the Reds, Ron Malone was known as the Big Rig, and he pitched a great game here one Saturday afternoon. And Broxton's about the closest thing to the Big Rig since Malone, huh?
Well, he made the Big Rig look like a sidecar.
That's a strike to Joey. 3-1.
Broxton, when he was with the Reds, you know, a lot of guys will shave their weight a little bit for the media guide or for, you know, the program if it's in there. But he's 6'4", 300 pounds, and he made no bones about it. And now he looks like he's dropped a few pounds. They've got him listed at 285 here with the Cardinals.
Oh,
he's as agile as a big cat.
A rocket shot, gloved by Broxton, and there's 2 away. Joey hit it right on the button, but right back to the pitcher.
You know, Jim Day, he ought to ask Joey Votto at the end of the night, what ball did Joey Votto think that he hit harder? The home run that went out of here opposite the field to left field, or the one that was snagged by Broxton? You know, probably 52 feet away. By the time Broxton strides to home and follows through, I mean, he's can't be more than 52 or 53 feet away.
And from the sound of the crowd, you got to figure that the St. Louis Blues had scored again against the Blackhawks. Knocked down by Wong. He'll have no play, and Brandon Phillips will be on with an infield hit. Well, Phillips gets his first hit of the night, 1 for 4, 2-out base hit, and that'll bring Jay Bruce to the plate. Holding the runner on at first. He stays in the game after pinch hitting for the pitcher. And they don't even hold the runner on at first. Going to second is Brandon. No steal. Defensive indifference. Brandon already with 2 stolen bases this year. Jay lined out and bounced out twice, 0 for 3. Fryer in behind the plate for the Redbirds as well. Ball and a strike to Bruce. Night of remembrance for the great Jackie Robinson tonight, and this week was also a week of remembrance for Cardinal fans for the great Joe Garagiola, who was honored with a service here in his native town of St. Louis this week. Swing and a miss. Great names and great memories from the baseball world. 12-3, Cardinals lead it. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Your tickets to the next Super Saturday at the ballpark, April 23rd, thanks to John Morrell. First 25,000 fans receive a Bottomatic Super Bobblehead. For tickets to see your Redlegs take on the Cubs for as low as $12, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com today.
Well, George, they come from all over to St. Louis, maybe not only to follow the Reds, but also to play soccer. Like the Impact Soccer team from Loveland, Ohio. The 12U girls have come here to Busch Stadium. I believe that's them up there, and they're having a good time tonight. They're here to play a weekend of soccer in St. Louis. Pretty good soccer town here, too.
Yeah, the soccer
and
park.
They're still pumped up for the Reds.
They have one of the best soccer parks in the country here. Flooded earlier this year, but they've gotten it back in operating order. Here comes Jumbo Diaz, who'll take over as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning.
Do we now have, with Jonathan Broxton and Jumbo Diaz, the two largest pitchers in Major League Baseball going after? Are there two guys that are bigger than these two? Head to head on the same mound?
Big swing, a fly ball down the right field line will drop in for a base hit. So Garcia will get a base hit. Garcia in at third. Batting in the number 3 spot in for Matt Holliday. Changes. And for the Reds, the changes have Pacheco at first and DeJesus at second, with Jumbo Diaz out on the mound. There's Jordan at first, in for Votto. And over at second, Ivan DeJesus Jr. Bill Garcia gets a base hit in his first plate appearance. That's off the glove of Barnhart. Going down to second will be Garcia. Piscotty tonight struck out, bounced into a double play, lined out, and flied out. Slapped the other way and out of play. With Richard due up next, Matt Adams is in the on-deck circle for the Redbirds. Chris, what are you seeing from Brandon Finnegan that's impressed you? I mean, he pitched so brilliantly in Chicago. We'll get to see him again tomorrow.
Well, he throws strikes. He's got a great attitude. I mean, he never backs down. He comes right after you. And the Cubs, who are maybe the most patient team in baseball, were up there swinging the first pitch off Brandon Finnegan. Now, they'd never faced him before, but the scouting report is he's going to get ahead of you 0-1 if you don't swing. And I just like the way he goes about his business. Now, the second half of that ball game, he really started using his changeup, and it became a very effective pitch. I think there were some people that were wondering if Finnegan might not be best served by being a reliever. That's what they used him for when he was with the Kansas City Royals. But I mean, based on what he has done this year and what he wants to do, I'm putting that guy out there every 5th day because he's got a good arm and a big heart.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Diaz to the stretch. Hit hard to center field. Here comes Billy, and he got it. And he closed on that fast. And don't forget, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with all the information you need for every game with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Don't forget, join us tomorrow at 1:30. Kent Dreamweaver and company, Ron Millinor and Brian Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro will get you ready for game 2 of this 3-game set with Brandon Finnegan set to go for the Reds against Adam Wainwright. Here's Adams, who will pinch hit for Grichuk. Grichuk had a productive night, reached on an error, homered, his 2nd homer of the year. Fryer on deck, taking over for Molina behind the plate. Big swing. That's the best way to describe it, is that the Cardinals are a work in progress at first. Moss will play there some of the time, Adams will play there some of the time, and Holiday will play there some of the time. Oh, baby. This one hit deep into the night, and that's long gone. Matt Adams has put a cap on home run derby here in St. Louis tonight. The night started with Matt Holliday, a 3-run homer in the first. Diaz, a 3-run homer in the third. Holliday, another homer in the 6th. Grichuk, a homer in the 7th. Moss, a 3-run homer in the 7th. And here in the 8th, a 2-run shot from Matt Adams and another pinch hit home run. Pinch hit home run number 6 for the Cardinals in the early going of 2016, and it's 14-3 St. Louis. Here's Fryer, his first at bat after taking over for Molina.
That would be Eric Joseph Fryer from Columbus, Ohio. Went to Ohio State. Grew up in the Columbus area. In fact, he went to Reynoldsburg High School. And if that sounds familiar to you, that's the same high school that his manager, Mike Matheny, went to. The difference, however, is that Eric Fryer graduated at the top of his class. Not to say that maybe the Cards manager didn't too. Signed over here as a minor league free agent back in last November. Has a degree in education with an emphasis in sports management.
And there's a base hit. Loops one into left. Fryer. Still only 1 out in the inning for Jumbo Diaz. Been a long time since the Reds have allowed 6 homers in a game.
Almost exactly 2 years ago.
By the way, won to win you yesterday, April the 14th. A belated happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you, George.
Not off.
Popular birthday.
Yeah.
We had a lot of.
One of the greatest.
One of the greatest days ever, right?
One of the greatest right-handed pitchers of all time.
Greg Maddux.
One of the greatest left-handed pitchers of all time.
But also a birthday for a couple of my golf buddies, Peter Hill and Nick Sanders, this week. Hope they're saving their money.
Get ready. Busch Stadium record 6 home runs hit by the Cardinals here tonight. That's Busch Stadium number 3. This the 3rd Busch Stadium. Wong tonight, flied out single, grounded out, and reached on an error. Get one at second, on to first. No, not in time. Paul Nauert waited a long time before finally calling the runner out at second. But they get the force at second, not at first. Wong on at first with 2 away, and here comes Diaz. Aledmys Diaz reached on Suarez error in the first. Eugenio's committed 2 errors today. He homered a 3-run shot in the third. Robbed of a hit on a nice play by Hamilton in the 5th, and then doubled in the 7th. Hit hard, but glove. Wow. A bullet shot, but Suarez hauls it in. Eugenio gloves it. Last roundup for the Reds. We're going to the 9th. To Bristol starting at 12:30 Eastern Time, only on Fox, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Time for our Volkswagen drive of the game. A bright spot for the Reds, trailing 4-0. Joey Votto on an 0-2 count goes the other way. A long home run, a 3-run shot, his first home run of the year. Pulled the Reds to within 1, 4-3. Votto's first hit against Carlos Martinez in his career. And at that point, the Reds were climbing back into the game 4-3. That was the last scoring the Reds would have, and they trail it 14-3 as we go to the 9th. Bowman will come in to pitch. Matt Bowman, the Rule 5 selectee. Matt Adams stays in the game at first. And here's Schebler. Scott singled, bounced back to the pitcher and robbed of a hit on a nice play by Wong. 6 home runs for the Cardinals tonight. What do you see in the difference of Jumbo Diaz?
Throwing the ball over the middle of the plate.
Yeah, up.
I mean, you know, 96 is just another hittable fastball when you're cutting the center of the plate with it, especially when you're throwing it up around waist high. I'm still a believer, George, that location and movement trumps velocity just about every time, unless you're in the neighborhood of Aroldis Chapman.
Bowman, like Ross Ollendorf, an Ivy League product out of Princeton. In on the hands, bounced down to second. 1 away, Schebler retired. And there's a few of them. Chris Young, big, tall pitcher out of Princeton, Matt Bowman and Ross Ollendorf. Oh, you talk about a bullpen, and the Reds over the years have had some great veteran leadership in the bullpen. You know, you go back to guys like Johnny Franco and Jeff Shaw, whose son Travis now starting third baseman for the Boston Red Sox. Guys like Danny Graves and Jeff Brantley, but down the list, and that guy right there provides leadership wherever he's been, Ross Ollendorf. The Reds really haven't replaced the loss of a guy like Sam LeCure too, Chris. He provided leadership when he was here with his ball club.
Well, it's a pitching staff in transition. And I'm not so sure that the Reds really had a good idea at the beginning of spring training what the staff was going to look like at the end of spring training. And I think right now they don't know what this pitching staff is going to look like, say, come the beginning of June. Although if everybody gets healthy the way they have hoped that they're going to get healthy, it'll be a whole lot better as the summer gets on.
There's Pacheco up for his first at bat. Tim Melville, the starter today, returning to his hometown area of St. Louis. 3 innings, 5 hits, and 7 runs. Heart pumping out of his body, I'm sure, when he took the mound tonight.
Oh, no doubt. And you know, one start does not define your career, nor does 2 starts. Young man's worked very hard to get here.
Bowman has a 1-2-3 night. The Cardinals have a big offensive night, 6 home runs, and wind up beating the Reds in game 1 of this 3-game set. The final 14-3 here at Busch Stadium. A whole lot more to talk about after these messages on Fox Sports Ohio.